This segment is sponsored by KDL. Are you a lover of obscure facts? One of those interesting people who has a crazy factoid about just about everything? Well, then you need to listen to KDL's Stump the Librarian podcast, where local branch librarians put their research skills to the test, answering questions from their listeners. Courtney Moises is a librarian at KDL's Gaines Township branch, and she is podcast host. She joins us now to talk more about it. Hi, Courtney.
Hi, Catherine.
I love this whole concept, but tell me about the podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So it kind of started, in the pandemic. We weren't doing programming just yet. So we kind of wanted to think of a way to reach our audience in a way that we weren't reaching patrons. And so I got the idea to start. I've always wanted to start a podcast. So I got the idea to start a podcast, and I did have to rework it a little bit. I submitted a project proposal, and our director of project management, she was like, can you do a little more research on this? And found that, most kids are listening to podcasts about facts, interesting things. And I was like, that's perfect for a librarian because, before everyone had Google on their phone, the library is where you went to find the answer to obscure questions.
That's right.
Yeah, so we wanted to kind of bring that back. And so Stump the Librarian is hosted by me and two of my really close library friends, Jill, who works at our Wyoming branch, and Emily, who's up in Tyrone. And so we get together and record. We answer 3 questions, and we usually answer way deeper than the questions ask, which means we find a lot of fun and interesting facts, and we share a fact of the day, and we share a book that one of us is reading, and it's a lot of fun.
It is fun. I have listened to it. So give folks some examples of the kinds of subjects that you have researched.
For sure. So our most recent episode, which went up last week, Wednesday, it was our first episode of season 2. So it's our 11th episode. We do have one mini episode about KDL because we found that because it's Stump the Librarian, a lot of kids ask questions about the library. So we have like a mini episode where we answer how many books we have in the library, how the books get to the library, what is KDL. So that's a fun one if you want to learn more about KDL. But the most recent one is called Who Toots? And it's got one of my favorite questions from actually one of my colleagues' kids, Ashley. She's over at Cascade, and her son Matthew asked if bats toot. And you'll have to listen to the podcast to find out, but we've also done research on what the difference between jelly and jam is, how fast the universe is expanding, what the hardest rock in the universe is, do pigs go in ponds? So we've got a very wide variety of questions, and I'm not going to tell you if we've been stumped, but it's definitely been challenging at times. I did the universe expanding one. That was our last episode of the first season. Yeah. And I'm still not sure if I fully understand the answer, but I shared the information the best I could at the time.
Wow, that's a heavy topic. Okay, so tell folks how they can listen to the podcast, and more importantly, how they can submit their questions to try to stump you.
So you can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. So Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, and all those places. I think we're at pretty much every place. But to submit a question, you can go to kdl.org/stump, and you can learn more about me, Emily, and Jill. And then there's a little form you can fill out. Or if you'd like, you can email us directly at stumpthelibrarian@kdl.org. And it'll come to all 3 of us, and we will hopefully answer your question on a podcast.
I love it. Okay, we'll put links to that on our website, 13onyourside.com. Courtney, thanks.
Yeah, thanks so much.